Of Blood and Steel, written by Seymour Zainali, narrated by James Lawrence. Chapter 2. The Girl. Balak sat in pain, patiently, at a quiet table in an alcove of the miners' tavern. Heads swiveled when he'd arrived moments before, but none made any mention of his state. It was his usual post-fight haunt. The bar was lively, and a musician skipped around their table, tooting into his long wooden balaban. His fingers stretched over the 8-holed tube. Another musician followed him, strumming the strings of his hollow wooden tar. They used their throats to sing along to the tune. Often those tunes were improvised on the spot, the musicians relying mostly on feeling rather than rhymes, like musical poetry of sorts. King Levon the Unchained, yes, the tyrant is dead. The people should mourn, or they might lose their head. With the throne to be claimed, there's lots to be gained. The family fight for his crown before he's cold in his bed. A group of miners sat at the largest table near the door to the tavern. They roared as the dice rolled across the table. The game of nard was possibly the only civilized game in the hollow. The winners reveled while the losers grumbled, bashed their fists on the thick oak tabletops, and slid their coin over the table. Occasionally, the players grabbed a piece of dolma, a mixture of meat and rice covered in grape leaves, washing it down with ayran, a cold, salty yogurt beverage. Balak enjoyed the carefree atmosphere after the storm of the brawl, though that was not what kept him there that night. "Fine," she returned from the bar with 2 precariously held jugs, beer slopping over the rims and splattering on the floor. 2 pitchers, as agreed. Now, can we talk?" She sat across from him, red in the face and out of breath. "Gonna live?" he asked. "I will manage," she panted. "Are you really going to drink all that?" "That's how long you have, so talk." "Great, The girl's eyes went wide as Balak started downing the first pitcher as though his throat were a well. "Just hold on a minute here." "Look," he belched and set down his half-empty drink. "You're lucky I didn't kill you. Next time, you might not be so lucky." "Understood," she answered. "I was in the pit before you arrived." "I'm going to stop you right there. In case you haven't noticed, it's been a rough shift. I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm just about ready to put this day to bed. I'd appreciate it if we could move things along here." She paused until she was sure she had his complete attention. "Very well. My name is Arda. It's like I said. I need your help." "With?" "I've heard you know Tartaurus like the back of your hand." "You need a guide." "That's right." A grim look crept over her face. "And where is it exactly that you're headed?" "To the Iron Gates." "That's some distance. Has it escaped your attention that the whole of Tartarus is at war?" Balak asked. "Which is why I need to be there. The castle of the Iron Gates has never been conquered. In times of war, it's the safest place to be." "Only that castle hasn't seen any action since the riots over half a decade ago." "It's sturdy." "It's old." "It was built to last, a safe place for those who seek refuge." "Assuming you get there first." "That's why I need someone who is strong and knows the land well." "And what makes you think I would help you? Do I look like the helpful sort?" "You are the one they call the Terror of Tartarus," she implored him. "Don't believe what men say in the pit, but yes, that is the name they gave me, and you don't want to find out why." "I have seen enough." "You're not afraid?" "I am, but so are others. I can leverage that." Balak smirked. "I see your intelligence exceeds your age." "When can we depart?" Arda asked without hesitation.
I am intrigued, but not yet convinced. It's a dangerous trip. If it's a bodyguard you want, it's gonna cost you, let's say, 20 silver coins."
Balak grimaced for effect. Arda took out a bag of coins and slammed it on the table in front of him. The sound attracted unwanted attention, and a few visitors began to investigate the source. Balak leaned closer to Arda.
"You should be more cautious around here. The people here will sell you out in a heartbeat and just take your coin. And what makes you think I won't do the same?"
he asked gravely. He was many things, but diplomatic was not one of them.
"Everyone can be bought for the right price. This is the least I can offer. There will be more when we arrive," she stated with confidence.
"The coin can only get you so far, girl. Don't think most of these men wouldn't take it by force."
"Then they would not receive their full reward. It's in the best interest of my guide to keep me alive."
"You being smart with me? Tell me, how did you get here in the first place?"
Balak raised an eyebrow.
"A friend helped me out."
Balak laughed.
"What kind of girl has friends in the hollow? And how did you find out about the pit?"
"I knew I'd find someone with the necessary skills. I was told that former soldiers and mercenaries often entered the ring."
Her cadence rose as though she were asking a question. He knew what she was getting at. She was trying to gauge his experience. Swinging a fist in a cage fight was one thing, but swinging an axe in an open field was another entirely.
"Close enough,"
he said.
"Right. Well, I had the time, so I waited. I've been in there for a few nights, watching the bouts, trying to figure out who the strongest fighter was. I've seen you take a beating and fall, but you always got back on your feet."
"I fight to win."
"You fight like a Carbadian."
"Thanks. I take it as a compliment."
"It wasn't."
"Tell me, were you afraid?"
"Yes."
He hesitated, holding her stare. The pale light of the tavern's candles flickered in her eye. There, in that moment, she hid nothing. He wasn't expecting such an honest answer to his question. Regardless, he respected the one he got.
"Good,"
he said.
"You want to make it through war, you keep your guard up."
"I will. Thank you."
She smiled meekly.
"Don't thank me yet."
Balak lifted the jug to his bloodied lips and glugged it empty.
"Well, all right then. I understand the job. The kingdoms are at war and you need an escort. It's not going to be an easy journey as the land is turbulent. We'll have to travel over the mountains, through the Black Garden, east through Alania, around the Mystic Forest, and then we'll head north, straight to the gates. Not gonna lie, it's a long journey, one filled with rapists, bandits, and them nasty giants, narts. I'll have to think about it."
"Can we not just go straight, west all the way through the Mystic Forest?"
"Cut through the Mystic Forest?" he laughed. "That's the last place you want to go, believe me."
"We may encounter fighting then. Elania and Liveria are at odds with one another."
"I see. Well, if we follow the southern edge of the forest, we should avoid trouble. We'll have to lie low and move fast."
"How long do you think this journey will take?"
Balak called upon his knowledge of the road, however rusty.
"Give or take 3 weeks."
"I think you'll find the pay more than adequate."
"As long as the other coin awaits me at the end of our journey, as promised."
There was no trace of humor or friendliness in his voice.
"Sure, payment will be made in full when we arrive, unscathed."
"Consider this my advance,"
Balak interjected, picking up the sack of coin.
"The rest to be paid when the job is done."
"How is that fair?"
Arda asked defensively.
"It isn't, but you came to me first. Remember that."
"Do you know how much silver is on the table right now?"
"Keep your damn voice down," he growled through gritted teeth. "Use your head while you still have it."
Sorry.
Her head hung low. "Listen, I will get you to the iron gates, but you're in the hollow right now. This is a dangerous place. Until I can get you there, you must do as I say."
Oblivious to the anxiety bubbling away behind the poor girl's eyes, Balak shook his head, grunting in annoyance, and got up to leave.
I understand,
she said, raising her head.
"Good."
He nodded in affirmation and sat back down.
"One of us could die on this journey, and it ain't gonna be me."
Well, I don't plan on dying either, Balak. I'm aware of the risks.
"We'll set out at dawn. You have a room somewhere?"
Here.
"Here?"
I notice this is your favorite tavern.
Surprised I didn't catch on sooner.
Well, I can be discreet when I need to,
she said matter-of-factly.
"Apart from when you're sneaking up on someone, might want to dirty yourself up. You still smell like the surface. Giveaway like that will get you killed."
Duly noted.
Her face turned sour as she retorted, though it softened just as quickly. She wasn't quite finished.
Look, there is one more thing.
"What more?"
he asked.
It's easier if I show you, but you must be very quiet.
She whispered the last part for emphasis.
Follow me.
The girl slid off her bench and scurried across the tavern to the stairs in the back before Balak could even stand. As he made his way toward her, it dawned on him that every man in this place was watching him. He followed her up the stairs with steely indifference. It wasn't as if anyone was going to do anything about it. Her door was at the end of a narrow corridor of unfinished pine logs, the brown tree bark on the ceiling and walls mossy with the humidity and slowly turning green.
Here we are.
She turned her key in the rusty lock, with both hands pushed the small but heavy door open.
Please, come in.
Balak followed her inside, perplexed.
"What is it?"
he asked.
Well, I'm not exactly alone.
"What do you mean?"
Arda turned and sat on the bed to regain her balance. Before standing, she held a straw basket of sorts in her arms. Balak took a step back from a threat even more unassuming. There, in the tatty basket in the girl's arms, was an infant, a year old at most, fast asleep. Ruddy and wrinkled, the thing was so tiny Balak could have easily held it in one hand.
Just like I said, I'm not exactly alone,
Arda repeated.
"Who is that?"
he spluttered.
It's my sister.
Arda beamed and gently took the child out of its makeshift cradle and into her arms. Bound tightly like a dumpling in her blanket, the infant didn't stir. Balak exhaled hard through his nostrils. Had there not been a sleeping baby present, he would have had no problem telling the girl precisely why she was insane.
"You didn't think to tell me you had a child with you? You've just made the journey a lot more dangerous."
But nobody will even know she's there. She's compact, no trouble at all, I swear. And I'll be tending to her needs, feeding her, changing her, carrying her, everything. This doesn't change a thing.
"Yes, it does."
Balak began to open the front door, ready to leave and fuming at the girl's naivete. Arda pushed the door closed again and looked directly into Balak's eyes.
You said you would take me,
Arda whispered firmly. She could see her chance slipping away.
We have to get to the iron gates.
"Where are your parents?"
My parents are dead. I ran as far as I could without looking back. I seek safety for the sake of my sister. I'm willing to pay you a small fortune here.
"Then you better find someone else."
What?
Arda was distraught. As the child stirred, the poor girl looked like she was at her wits' end.
No, please, you can't back out now.
don't waste your breath."
He batted the air between them with the flat of his hand, officially brushing her off.
"You'll need it for your trip."
"Don't you see? I am the only family she has left."
The child awoke and promptly screamed the tavern down. Desperate, dejected, and despondent, Arda sat on her bed and tried her very hardest to keep a brave face for the child.
"Look, you have enough in your possession for a very long time. Maybe by then things will quiet down, and you might make it to the Iron Gates. That would be my advice to you. Otherwise, you're on your own, kid,"
Balak said, returning Arda's bag of coins.
"Well, it wouldn't be the first time."
Balak simply shook his head as he closed the door behind him.